Hey, aloha. Welcome to Office Hours for Korean Natural Farming. Um, Today, November 19th, 2023. We're live! A lot has changed. Oh, anyway, I wanted to say those things. Um, yeah, hey, we already got some good folks in the house. Got Cheryl, what's up? Cecily, I'm glad you made it back from the UK down there. Also, again, it was your birthday recently, so happy birthday, lated. I don't know. How late is it still too late to celebrate your birthday? Never. Um, Solar Gourmet. Got Mark from Santa Cruz. It is a double extra groovy Sunday. And well, I'll get to that question, Cheryl, there. But hey, good to see you. Be the Busby. But before we get into some questions about coffee, let's 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 get a little bit higher wisdom. So hopefully you guys can hear me. I kind of set up the mics different for last week. I'm gonna try. I think it looks like it's coming through smooth. Don't want to blow it out either. But I reconfigured my mics last week for the live with Bird in the house, talking about the KNF class, all that. Got a little bit more news on that. So today is Tachuang, the power of the great. To achieve true power and true greatness, one must be in harmony with what is right. False power and false greatness can be seen all around us in the world. Through egotistical and aggressive manipulations, many people obtain a temporary position of power and influence. The I Ching teaches us a different way of acquiring and using power, one that leads to true greatness and enduring influence. The way of the sage unites power with modesty, justice, gentleness, and equanimity. The hexagram Tachuang indicates that you have increased your power now by purifying your thoughts and actions. Through contemplation of higher principles, you have begun to open doors for yourself. Through alignment with what is good and true, you gain insight into situations and the power to resolve them in your favor. But it is important to remember that it is the sage that is the source of your power and the source of your strength. If your ego takes over and wields the power that is at hand, the ensuing misfortune will be great. The I Ching counsels us not to misuse our strength by judging, condemning, punishing, manipulating, or dismissing others. It advises reticence in speech and action. More often than not, the truly superior person relies on stillness and non-action, allowing inner truth to penetrate gently to the heart of difficulties. The I Ching also cautions us to wait patiently for the appropriate time for speech or action. Power can make us eager, but eagerness unbalances us and leads us into trouble. By listening carefully and patiently to the sage, we know when to move ahead, when to wait, and when to retreat. In the end, true greatness comes only from those in whom strength and proper principles are firmly united. If you follow the sage and persevere steadfastly in what is correct, you will inherit the power of the great. So that's always nice. We're on the path, doing the right things, inheriting the good power. following, balanced leadership, all these things, the goods. KNF, true power comes from patience instead of aggressive action. Juicing the soil, trying to get it all to grow right now. It's more about giving the plants what they need at the right time, right place, right amount, right time, right something else. Those concepts that are super important that you remember exactly what they are. Anyway, we'll see how it goes today. I did have YouTube insert ads for me, so if you guys are seeing ads, it's YouTube's fault. It was wanting me to do that, I guess. But to get to Cheryl's question before we get into the rest of the stuff, do I stir my coffee to the right? This, in fact, is not coffee. This is, there's a coffee stain on it because I was drinking coffee last week and I didn't wash the cup. Just keep refilling it. But I am not drinking coffee this week because last week I was teaching the class. I needed that little extra coffee to go. But if I continue to drink coffee, my kidneys will hurt like heck, and my body does not like prolonged coffee usage. So what is in this mug is fresh milk, fresh raw milk, and some of the ginger fermented plant juice that we made. So the ginger knfFood, and it's so good. It's so good. When we were making the KNF medicine recipe, I just was like recalling the recipe from memory, which is always the book's there for a reason, right? If you have the book, it tells you 1 kilo of fresh ingredients goes into 1 half-gallon jar when you're making it, and you add 1/3 of the sugar into that, you're gonna be just like perfect with the ginger there. But I was trying to be all cool and be like, oh, I remember this, and I said it was 2 kilos, which we ended up with 1.8 something kilos, and I was like, oh, how did we not buy enough ginger? And then we start, we smush the ginger the proper way, start mixing in the sugar with the proper amount, and we weighed everything because I was teaching a class. Usually I eyeball most things, but because I was teaching a class, it's always important that we weigh it because then we get it precise, it's funny because when I eyeball it, I pretty much add the same amount, maybe slightly less sugar, but pretty much the same amount. If you just follow it verbatim what the recipes say. Sometimes I add a little bit, more than I would usually, but then we ended up and making 2 half-gallon jars, pretty much, a little less in one, but 1 half-gallon jar, and then we reverse engineered it out because Steve was like, how much did we add to this? Because he wants to buy the precise amount of ginger because it's real expensive in Australia to get the ginger. So he didn't want to just buy 2 kilos for no reason. And he was like, how much did we add to this? And we reverse engineered it out by weighing the jar, weighing the sugar, because we had known amounts of sugar, known amounts of ginger. And we were like, oh, we added 1 kilo in there. And then I read the book and it's like, it's 1 kilo. And I was like, oh, it was absolutely correct what I was supposed to add. Because I did it from memory, we ended up making a jar perfectly and about 1/3 of a jar, or 2/3 of a jar, excuse me, perfectly. And then that extra one that we made, we just, instead of adding the vodka in after the fermentation process of the KNF medicine, I just poured off the ginger juice, the ginger plant juice, and it is one of the best things to add to raw milk. And I just mix it in. It's a little sugary, a little gingery. It's, if I, blend maybe a raw egg into here and blend it up, and I don't know, just amazing. Some eggnog, I don't know, non-alcoholic, amazing beverage for me. But yeah, so do I stir it to the right? I think I did. Usually I think I default stir to the left. I stir this way to the left. Stirring to the right's kind of a weird, with your right hand stirring to the right, it's not as natural for me. I probably stirred it to the left. But also we were discussing in the class kind of the James Bond method, shaken, not stirred. And, it's Bond, James Bond. We stir it, or we shake it instead of stir, but it's like Cho, Master Cho, stirred, not shaken. Yeah. But anyway, this is really good. Oh, yeah. Cool. So yeah, so anyway, I'm glad to get into that, glad to drink some milk, all that. That's so good. And then what else this week? This week man, I tell you, no rest. I stop the class and then I get up early to take Steve to the airport, and then I go that night or the next night up to Kohala, drive all the way up to North Kohala. It's about an hour and a half drive up there. Presented on the drone to the Farmers Union, HFUU in the house. Talk to them about the drone, how that can work, the reasons I got it, for the coffee leaf rust. It's like how we're going to take care of the coffee leaf rust. CLR is what they call it in the industry. And the only way to do it, well, at least, there's multiple ways to do it, right? But you can do it naturally with Korean natural farming if you're able to either just go heavy lactobacillus protectors, IMOTs, and apply them on like a weekly / twice a week basis for a while. And then I think you'll get ahead of the coffee leaf rust. It's just a fungus. And we can totally control it, and by getting good biology there, also by adding minerals, food, cleanser, medicine, structure, maintenance solution plus minerals kind of thing, and the protectors, maybe that recipe, putting that on there, it's going to give the plant the nutrition it needs and everything it needs to grow, and then it's just a matter of doing it frequently enough. So that was my answer of like, why did I get the drone? It's because in Kona, most of the fields are rocky, like big lava rocks that have been ripped. And sometimes, if you're not spraying Roundup, they're covered in bushes, like little ground, like hono grass, and, all kinds of like low crawling vine type bushes. And so you can't see the rocks. So you're going to be walking out there. And then, if you're carrying water on your back, like a sprayer type of thing, now you have extra weight on you. You're going to be walking on this uneven stuff, and like it's a recipe to break your ankle or cut your leg or, fall or, just get injured. And, who wants to do that? It's like you want to do good, but then you're injuring yourself to do KNF. It's like, no. So, and most of the farms are really steep. Now, hills going up, Kona very steep. Where they're growing the coffee region is very steep. And so a drone is the perfect answer, right? Fly above, mist it down, get great coverage on the leaves, be able to apply the exact amount you need, 25 gallons per acre, more than that if you want, less than that if you want, but the drone can do it exact, fly over, not trip, land, small farms, small acreage, perfect for the drone, and that's why I ended up getting it. And we're just doing it, as a proof of concept research. But now that I have it, now I'm able to say, hey, look, this works. I'm testing it still, right? We're still, the prior week, we were able to see the results of what did the banana bunchy top controlling these diseases look like from, 3 months of application to now, and everyone was like, oh, it's getting better. Even the grass is getting greener. So obviously it's working, and it's that type of, that's the research I'm doing, right? Research, make sure it works. And then the other thing, is like inspiration. If I can show people it works and they get inspired and they're like, whoa, I can do this, and then I'm learning a whole bunch about how to really do it. And I think buying it just for one farm would be kind of a waste, because largely, 99% of the drone's time is just sitting there, and then you're flying it, one week, right? For depending on the size of your farm. If your farm's huge, then you could fly it every day, and you just make someone full-time job, mix the solutions, load the drone, fly the drone, then it would make sense. But most farms aren't that big, because it'll do, just in flying time, it can do like 25 acres, or with the natural farming things, it actually does about 7 acres per hour, depending on your your application rate. Anywhere from, 4 acres to 10 acres, depending on your application rate. So because for the drone to spray at 25 gallons per acre, it has to fly slow. It flies at 3 feet per second. So the drone can fly much faster, but you can't get the same rate out of it because the pumps only pump out 3 gallons per minute. So it has to fly at that 3 feet per second, 3 to 4 feet per second, right in that range to get that application rate. And then when you're doing half that, it flies then at like 6 to 7 feet per second to do 12 gallons per acre. And if you were spraying like just late mist of like something else, which may be effective, I don't know. I haven't had it long enough to do the research and sprayed frequently enough and lowered my dosage enough to make it so. But it can fly faster, and if it's flying faster, that means more acreage per time, right? So anyway, learning all these things, these research projects, that's what I'm doing. So it was nice to present to them, inspire them. Coffee farmers. They also had, up in Kohala, my friend Cab was thinking about using it to spray EM on golf courses, dealing with some issues with, there's some disease attacking some of their coconuts up there. And then, I was just in coffee country, and it's just like, Ka'u coffee, even better than Kona coffee. I'll just let you in a small secret. Buy Ka'u coffee if you can instead of Kona coffee. Trust me. I'm from here and I know. But the, coffee country, it's like, oh. And then I was also thinking about building an autonomous mower so that it can just mow all, because people are out there mowing full time, spraying full time, doing all these, for these huge things, and they're monoculturing. And it's like, if you're monoculturing, you need more IMOs, and they wonder why there's disease like coffee leaf rust. Well, when you monoculture, hundreds of acres of the same crop in one area, and and don't do natural farming, you're just begging for disease to come, right? So putting the IMOs out there, also a lot of farms out there using the Roundups, nuking the ground. It's like, getting ground covers in, getting autonomous mowers, getting things where it's like, you're not setting the stage for disease to just be rampant, and really getting these things tuned in. So, but anyway, I got inspired to like, set the direction for the KNF Foundation this coming year to address some of those issues, some of those problems, and getting into it. So good to see Jared here. What's up? We got New Jersey in the house. Awesome. Got Stonemason coming in from I want to say Illinois. I know it's not. It's Indiana. I know. Yeah, the I states out there. Iowa, Indiana, man. Cool. We even got Brazil in the house. What's up, so? Joe, Long Island. And Joe asked me a little bit of how to donate. He didn't want to donate through the YouTube and have the corporate barons steal 30%. So let me just answer that question right now a little bit. And one way, let me set this up here, do that. Okay, so one way, if you want to donate to the Pure KNF Foundation, which helps to sponsor this show. So it's not directly to me, because I'm a board member of the Pure KNF Foundation, so I can help direct those funds towards good projects. But it doesn't necessarily directly support me because I'm not in charge of the foundation. I'm just a contributing board member to it. But this is a nonprofit where you can get a tax deductible donation. It's a 501c3 educational nonprofit. They sponsor this show, plus they're helping the drone research, plus, a bunch of good things happening. Some documentaries that are in the pipeline, all kinds of good things. So donating here, indirectly helps me. And so you can go here to the top menu right here. It says donate, click that. It brings you to this little stripe thing here, where it suggests you to do $50, but you can change any amount you want. So you could literally be like, I guess 500,000 is the most, or the maximum amount is actually 400. If you want to donate more, contact us, I guess is a way, because we have to approve every donation, and we automatically have it approved donations under $400. It's part of our bylaws. So if you're going to donate 500,000, you know, contact us. We could put that to really good use. If we had that much money, man, we could do a ton of good stuff. Let me trust me. Well, don't just trust me. See the results here. There's so many things we could do. But you could also donate, as little as like 50 cents. Maybe can you do 50 cents? Let's see. What if I just put 0.5? Yeah, I think you could even donate 50 cents if you wanted to. Not that I'm like saying, whatever you feel comfortable with. It's your thing. But any funds you put here, it does go through Stripe. Stripe takes about 3% to process your credit card, and Stripe is our payment processor there. So, but if you want to donate to the nonprofit, then this is also a tax deductible donation. So write it on your taxes, subtract it from your income, pay a little less taxes. That's cool. And then also, if you wanted to donate directly to me and you're like, well, I really like Drake and his things and not necessarily the Pure KNF Foundation, mine is a sole proprietorship. So I'm not a 501c3 when I operate Natural Farming Hawaii. This is my teachings as well as my book and my educational things that I do. And this is like me and what I do. And there is a way that up here in the store, right here, in that same tab up in the upper right, you can go down to make a donation. You can click that. And this enables you with a monetary donation of $1. So, if you just donate $1, that's cool. I'm into it. Anything you do. But you can also change the quantity of this and make it like $500 and just add that to your cart. And that would, this quantity times this money and add it to the cart. And then you can make, a donation directly to me. And again, I use Stripe as my payment processor, so I lose about 3% to that. But these monetary donations are not tax deductible. It doesn't get you anything other than keeping me solvent and alive and motivated and wanting to do more. And if I run out of money, then everything ends. Well, I mean, not everything ends, but it's harder for me to make things like this happen, as I guess what I want to say. So everyone needs money, and if you have some, you appreciate the value you get from this. Consider one of those two things, or super chat through here. I'm YouTube does take 30% when you super chat, which is like, it's okay. They're providing this service. I love YouTube. I mean, obviously you do too if you're here, right? Maybe you don't love it like, that way, but like loving it, it's offering a service, and they need to charge for that. I get it. They're probably making some money too, and there's nothing wrong with making money. I tell you. It's just an energy exchange, currency exchange, enables us all to do better. So, but one of those two, if you're enjoying it and you don't want to go through the corporate overlords, you still will have the corporate overlord of Stripe if you do it that way. And then also one more thing, if you really wanted to like send a check and avoid all of that, it's not on our website. On here, I should put our address. It's not on here. So, but Pure KNF Foundation is P.O. Box 59, Papaiko, Hawaii, 96781. You can look, find those things. But I should put the address on here. We're here, so we should have our address there and our contact. Oh, actually on our contact page. Let me here. I'm saying we don't have it. Here it is, right there. P.O. Box 59, Papaiko, Hawaii, 96781. So if you wanted to send, and avoid the whole, 3% processing fee of credit card and go direct check, here you go. Right there you can make a donation there. If you donate more than $400, we will have to approve it as a board. This is part of our bylaws. But if it's under $400, it's that. And don't think like just because we have to approve it that, we most likely will approve most donations. Unless you're a sketch person that's wanting to influence us to do sketch things. And then we'll be like, no, we're not going to trade our money to compromise our mission. So if you're wanting certain things for like a donation with strings attached, then no, we don't want your money, right? We only want money from people that are giving it to help us continue to do what we're doing. And we really appreciate everyone who does help with that. And there are some big players that really help us make it happen. And I hope that we are providing the value back in a way that makes you happy. But it's nice that we don't have strings attached to say we have to do this or have to do that. The only string attached is basically our mission here, which we exist to restore life through microbial awareness, education, and action. And we wrote that kind of mission to be kind of loose because that enables us to get into all kinds of things, but it always focuses us on restoring life through microbial and then awareness, education, action. And it's like, man, small, sweet, awesome mission. Every time we meet, we always talk about the mission. Every time we're trying to do something else, make things happen, refocus, know where we're at. It's like, is this in alignment with our mission? And we're having a simple mission like this, restoring life through microbial awareness, education, action. It's like, yes. I mean, how would you not want to give, millions of dollars to us? I mean, even if you don't have $1 million, you probably want to give it to us, I don't know, maybe not. But like restoring life through microbial awareness, education, action. It's like, yes. And that's what we do. Educate, do action, do those things. Hey, yeah, 50. Hey, thanks. Super chats. Those are always good. I mean, and this all goes to empowering us to do this. And when we do it, it also powers KNF support, all these other good things. So I'm just trying to, since it was asked as a question, I don't always go over and be like, donate. If you want to, it's cool. It's going towards at least office hours for sure, if not, other bigger, greater things, supporting Master Cho's legacy, bringing natural farming to the people through action and awareness. And, anyway, I love it. I think it's such a great thing. And yeah, so, okay. And then Mark here is asking, he says, I don't know where you stand on Bitcoin, but it's almost free to send crypto. Well, Litecoin is super cheap to send. What are your thoughts on crypto for donations? I'm not even though I'm like a computer guy, I'm not into crypto. Maybe I should. I mean, hang on, I gotta sneeze. Yeah. I'm not into crypto. Because crypto, just look at the word crypt. I know it comes from encryption, but crypt is like death. So crypto, it's like death. And if you look into the origins of Bitcoin, Satoshi Naka, whatever the heck his name is, it was, it's shady. They don't know who invented it. Well, that to me screams CIA or NSA or some, 3-letter government entity. And then it was monetized. They were selling drugs with it, with the Silk Road. Who sells more drugs than anybody? CIA. The cocaine import agency, and then the FBI raided it and then, took all the coins and then resold them out. And so it just screams to me that it's a government surveillance network / total surveillance. And they're like, it's anonymous. It absolutely is not. It's 100% trackable, everything. And so vast majority of the promises of Bitcoin have turned out to be like, it's kind of like Prison Planet. So if you're into that and there's various ways it helps dissonance in certain countries and there's certain things, but the actual, some of the best money is actual money. So gold, silver, coins. Coins are actual, still pretty much actual money. Dollar bills are not. Digital money is not. And what's the difference between digital money and Bitcoin? And you get into that, and it's like, well, I don't know. But long story short is I'm kind of fundamentally opposed to crypto because it's also a pyramid scheme where it's just because people are buying it that it has value. And you could say the same thing for money, but money's actually based on the, like, first off, it's, if you can get it physically, you have it, and then you have it, versus Bitcoin's hard to get physical. I mean, I know you can take like the digits and make a cold wallet and all these things. Like, I'm not arguing with that. But having physical money is like just having physical land. It's like having the resources, it's a different type of thing. And when it's just digital dollars, if the exchange goes down or this or that, or, I don't have power for some reason, it's like, well, then, goodbye your money. It's like you're a model only as long as Instagram's still up. It's like, it's just kind of fantasy stuff that works in the short term and it's cool. I'm not saying that there's no value in it, but what I am saying is that I'm send a gold bar in the mail, that's real money, right? That's real money. People fight and die and bleed over that. Send a barrel of oil or a barrel of diesel, that's real money, right? It's worth fighting for, but not being aggressive, because then, you're going to lose your power of the sage, like the power of the great that we read earlier, right? So that's my stance on it. Bitcoin's a huge Ponzi scheme. And as soon as it's like musical chairs, and as soon as the music stops playing, there's no chairs there. So musical chairs with no chairs. The people that are, get the chairs get out early, and then there's no chairs. And as long as the music plays, it keeps going. As soon as the music stops, and it all collapses, and there's nothing really there. So, but you could say that all about a lot of things. But gold, silver, these are metals that don't decay, and you can hold, and they hold value, and those are worth money. So anyway, yeah, I did, okay. Chris, I'm gonna answer this question here. Chris is asking, about, can I get, using kelp in KNF? Is kelp used in KNF? Can you give a suggestion on how to utilize it? And I can, yes. Yes, we, I tried to post a video on how to use kelp and seaweed, but the timestamps were off, and it ended up not being the correct video that got posted. But kelp is like a wet plant. If you can take the kelp and sort of leave it in a strainer, so you just strain it out. Don't necessarily dehydrate it, but just dry it out so it's not like dripping wet. And then mix it with sugar, just like a fermented plant juice, where you're making the knfFood recipe, and turn that kelp into a food by having osmotic pressure pull the juice out with sugar. So why not, here I'm just like hand waving, why not pull up the book? Because the book has the answers, right? And so if you don't have the book, get the book. It supports me through there. Let's see, I'm gonna pull this book up over here, get this thing up, transition that screen over. Here's the book, and let's go scroll down. So knfsupport.com, you can find this book. And coming down, where's the plant juice? It's knfFood right here. So again, gather one species of plant material. That could be kelp. If it's super wet, like I said, kind of dry it out a little bit. Same with seaweed, just leave it in a strainer just to drain out. Not so it dehydrates and becomes dry, but it's just not like sopping wet. Then put it in, and mix it as if a cement mixer with 1/3 to half the weight of the plant material of sugar. Then once that's done, then pack it tightly into a jar or a container or a bucket or a barrel. Allow 3 to 4 days to ferment at around room temperature. Then after, and if it's really cold, maybe 7 days. You can't really ferment stuff, within 7, if you pour it off within 10 to 14 days, you'll be fine. 3 to 4 days when it's, like 70 degrees, right? Room temperature. Then collect that liquid and supersaturate it by adding more sugar in. And so you just pour it off, the juice comes out. Try not to smash the juice out of there. Get it and supersaturate that liquid, and you are going to get an amazing juice from that kelp. Then you can take the leftover kelp that's kind of sugary and whatever, feed it to an animal, compost it, turn it into a vinegar if you really wanted to. You know, drape it over you and become like the swamp man and just walk around your town to make people think you're really cool. You know, multiple ideas. But yeah, but utilizing kelp that way, a great way to do it, especially if it's washing up on the shore, you're able to get it pretty easily. Kelp has amazing amount of nutrients. It also has a bunch of minerals because it's in the ocean. So it's like you're putting KNF minerals in there. It's really mineral rich kelp. Plus you're getting all those chlorophylls, and that's also really good. And then the other thing that I wanted to get into today, I'll answer a few more of these questions, but remind me, is phytomicrobe or what the heck? Hang on. I should pull it up, the email here, and not just like go off the cuff. But we were talking about these. So Steve and I were talking about these things. Why can't I think of it right now? And I was thinking about it all day, and I was like, I'm going to talk about this today, and then I forget right when I'm here live. Yeah, go figure. But here, hang on. Let's see. Steve sent it to me. Phyto. I didn't listen to the interview. Steve sent me the interview to listen to. Come on, where is it? What are the microbes that live inside the plants? Like, aren't they phyto? I don't know. Anyway, man, I'm like losing myself here. Okay. Anyway, I'll get to that later. That's what I was gonna say. So I'm gonna get to it later anyway. So why just embarrass myself and just get to it later when I remember? Yeah, cool. So the book. Okay. And then how to utilize that plant juice is here, dilute it. How to utilize it properly is take that food, go to the food recipes here, and you'll notice all the recipes here include food. So if you're doing maintenance formula, has food in it. You're doing soil formula, has food. Seed formula, food. Leaf formula, food. Bloom formula, food. Fruit formula, food. Harvest formula, food. Every recipe always calls for the food. So make food out of, endophytes. That's it. Endophytes. Oh, you saved me. Okay. Endophytes. Yeah. I was thinking phyto first, but it's endophytes. Yes. Thank you. Everyone's like, endophytes, you dummy. I'm like, thanks. Yeah. You guys are already familiar with endophytes. Okay. So the food here is in every recipe. So just, dilute it. It usually is 1 to 500. You can change those dilutions a little bit. And as Cheryl says right here, make a pumpkin food, right? So follow that same recipe down here by making a pumpkin food, and your one species of plant material would be pumpkin. Oh, you guys aren't even looking at my screen. Would be pumpkins. You weren't even looking at my screen when I was saying the recipes. Okay. Sorry. It's all these recipes call for food. Okay. Sorry. I was on the wrong screen. All these come with food, right? So, so how do you use it? Follow these recipes, follow the thing for what you're doing. Kelp's always going to be pretty good, no matter what growth stage it is. Beginning, middle, flowering, all that good. Fruiting, also going to be good to use kelp. And then again, the pumpkin here, ferment it. Here's your one species of plant material, mix the sugar, and I also recommend when you're doing the pumpkin, cut it into like cubes, like 1/2 inch size cubes or inch size cubes. Cut it, first into those cubes, then mix it into the sugar. That way you'll get plenty of surface area all over it. If you just try and like put the pumpkin with sugar, it's, you don't have enough surface area. So do slice and dice it. Do not put it in a blender. Don't, because it's just, you're gonna, no, don't. It's not good. You're cutting the cell walls, all those things. You want to just cut it so it's manageable, small cube size that you can mix it. And then mix it here, pack it 2/3 in, let it ferment, collect the liquid. Yeah. So, yeah, and then whole what you got, saying, can I chop up the old pumpkin and use equal parts brown sugar to do a traditional FPJ style? I don't recommend the equal parts sugar. It's like half to a third of the weight. Equal parts, you're gonna end up too much, and you're better off to save it and then later super saturate with the sugar. Otherwise, you're gonna waste sugar. I mean, you can do it that way, but just you're gonna waste sugar. I'm just gonna let you know you're gonna waste sugar. So we just with this class we did a lime food and a longan food, two different fruits. We added the equal parts sugar, just blindly follow the recipes, and those ended up with tons of sugar at the bottom. And then we were able to mix them into super saturate with that extra sugar, but I still reckon sugar fell out of solution and we added too much sugar. So I always recommend here, it's like, I know some of the things says equal parts sugar. It's trust me, like, 1/3 to half is going to be pretty much, you're going to be good. Sometimes if it's real juicy or really sugary, you need to add more. And with fruits, sometimes more, but really, try it this way and see the difference and you will see. And just, leave the rind on. Yeah. Thanks, Cheryl. You got that. Yeah, and you more pumpkin than sugar. So just go easy on the sugar, and tell me the results. I guarantee I can almost 100% promise it's going to work. But of course, Murphy might be around and he might mess you up. So, oh, yeah, okay. And I like this comment from Cheryl here, where it says, "I never feel bad about looking stuff up. I make OHN once a year, so it's good to have in case I forget anything. Definitely a valuable resourcing, having all the recipes in one place." So, yeah, again, having the book around, looking at it, just double checking these recipes. Here again, when I'm saying the thing, it's like, here's the 1 kilogram. I don't know if you guys can see that. You gotta zoom in, but it says 1 kilo. And I'm just like calling it from remembering. And it's like, no, 1 kilo. It says it right in the book. Just read the book, right? It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, hey Cheryl, thanks for the super chat there. Awesome, thank you for my hard work. I guess it is hard. I like doing it though. So also, thanks for making it enjoyable. Even though could be hard, could be good. Yeah. So, and Solar Gourmet has lots of apples right now. Can I use them for food too? Yes. Again, just chop the apples. I make them into, I chop them in half. Then I chop that half in half. Then I chop those halves in half. So I make 8 pieces out of the apples. I'm not doing apples, but any fruit that I'm doing of similar size to that's what I'd do. I'd make it into 8 pieces when you're chopping. So that's relatively quick. I think it's like, 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts into the thing. And now you have, or 5 cuts for 1 apple, and it's just quick with a cleaver or something. Watch out, don't lose your fingers, but make it as quick as you can when you're chopping. And the idea is not to pulverize, but just to chop so you get more surface area. Mix that with the sugar. You're going to get an amazing food out of there, like a fruit juice food. And some people say FFJ, FPJ. I've largely dropped that language because you're just making a food, man. Both work the same way, and you're just making a food. So, sometimes the recipe came across fruit juice, plant juice. It's like they're all foods, man. Like, it's the same recipe pretty much. You just you gotta maybe adjust your sugar a little bit to get it right, so you get osmotic pressure and all those things. So I try not, people ask me about like those acronyms, and I'm like, they serve a purpose, certain areas, but like if you just call it food, then it's food and you know when to use it, right? And yeah, leave those rinds on there on the pumpkin. The rinds still have nutrition in them. In fact, they have lots of nutrition in the rinds, so leave that on. and leave the peels on your apples, all those things. It's going to be such good juice. I mean, you're going to be adding it to your raw milk and drinking it and being like, I'm not giving this to the plants. It's that good. Yeah, and Cheryl got great advice here. Listen to Cheryl. She knows what's up. She's, her comments on this apple and these different things. So, and since we're on the topic of knfFood plant juice, and you guys reminded me of the endophytes, that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit here. Is that so? Steve made it all the way up from Australia. He comes down. He's from like Melbourne, which I think I said last week. And he's from like southern Australia, I believe. Southern Australia. So it's cold down there. And he said the analog is like the Pacific Northwest. So he grows a lot of stone fruits, pears, peaches, apples, those types of things that obviously we're not growing those same types of crops in the tropics, but he's growing those things down there. And he came because he took the week-long course, learned a whole lot. It was really, really intensive because just a few of us, and we really got deep into it. He really enjoyed talking with me because he's like, there's not that many people out there in the world that you can talk about high level Korean natural farming concepts with, and that they like get it, and that they can actually contribute to the conversation, and that you can go deeper by exploring and by going through the conversation. And so he really appreciated it. And we just kicked it on the porch a couple days. Through the teaching, through the teacher training, through the whole, just hanging out with him after hours, before hours type thing, and getting into these conversations. But he was really into endophytes. And so what he told me is basically that, and he sent me one of these podcasts. I'm not sure which one it is. I literally didn't listen to it yet because I'm literally like, even though the class ended a week ago, I still feel like I haven't even I'm still like going as fast as I was during the class, and it's really intense. So my life's been really intense, even though I just took a small vacation for 2 days. It was really nice because I got to relax and all that. And that was really nice. But still, I haven't been at home, and there's tasks piling up because I haven't, just fixing holes in the fence, all these things. Anyway. Back to endophytes, right? It kind of blew my mind. Okay. And it's like, okay, I've been doing Korean natural farming for, 15, 20 years. I don't know, a long time. 2000, yeah, almost 20 years, I think. Yeah. Almost 20 years. And so I'm pretty, I like it. I've learned a lot of stuff, and I hear a lot of things, and so it's not like so having something new that blows my mind is kind of like, oh wow. But what he was getting into was that is endophytes. And what are endophytes? Let me just pull up the Wikipedia. Endophytes. We'll just pull that up because we'll get the official, or like official, whatever, collective nonsense that we agree on. It says an endophyte is an endosymbiont, often a bacteria or fungus that lives within a plant, or at least part of its life cycle, without causing apparent disease. So it means it lives inside the plant cell for some part of the life stage, and it's beneficial because it doesn't cause dis-ease, right? It says endophytes are ubiquitous and have been found in all species of plants studied to date. So every plant out there has endophytes, has an endophytic relationship with some sort of bacteria or fungus. It says, however, most of the endophyte plant relationships are not well understood. Duh. Right? Like, they don't understand it, right? So these things are found in every plant, yet we don't understand it at all, right? Well, thanks for just being honest on that. You don't understand it. And this is the thing that he was saying is like next level. And he was saying, look, you got this fermented plant juice, like this knfFood. You've osmotically drawn out the goods. And I often think of it as like a nutrition type of thing, but it's like you've probably also drawn out these endophytes because they're small enough to pass through the cell boundary in and out with osmotic pressure. When there's a bunch of liquid moving, of course they're going to be in that liquid. That bacteria, that fungus, those things are going to be in there. Now, in your fermented plant juice, you don't just have the nutrition, the enzymes, the hormones, the chlorophylls, all the goods. You also have this very specific set of endophytic bacteria and fungus. So in your fermented plant juice, your knfFood, it itself is actually a microbial inoculant that is different from a microbial inoculant such as IMOs, where it's soil-based, or lactobacillus, where it's air-based. You now have plant-based IMOs. And so the FPJ itself, you could actually say, this knfFood, you could actually say that it itself is an IMO for your plants. And this is like my mind exploding, like next big thing is that, yeah, like this is why KNF is so effective, because of the 9 core solutions with all these different things. You're not only getting soil microbes, air protector microbes, surface microbes, you're also getting plant endophytes and this other microbe thing. So that's why, when it's asked, if I'm growing tomatoes, what plant juice should I use? Well, use it from tomatoes. And now you're going to get those endophytes inoculated, that now it's going to be even more endophytic, more IMOs, more things growing from there. Not only the nutrition, the hormones, the enzymes, but also the biology, right? And this should be obvious, right? But I was just like, I always think of food as dead, just because it's easier to think of it that way. But it itself is actually a microbial inoculant. And I was talking with Steve about this, and we were going deep, and I think that it really makes, because he has a master's in seed breeding, so he bred this special pea that was like blood red and really cool looking, that he bred. So by breeding certain characteristics, he learned how to breed seeds and do these things. But I think it's going to be next level. Like in if you ever do this, just like whatever, you heard it here, whatever, make it, commercialize this, do this, it's going to change the world. Is that when you sell seeds, the seeds don't just come with seeds, they come with soil inoculant that's beneficial for those seeds, and they come with a plant juice that's going to restore these endophytes. And this is another reason why the seed soak is so important, because if you look here, I'll pull up the book here and pull up the book and we'll go to the seed soak solution. So the seed soak formula is right here. It's this column right here coming across, and so the seed soak formula has food in it. So right there, you're getting, when you're soaking your seeds, you are actually soaking your seeds in these endophytes. So you're putting the endophytes back into the seeds. So before the plant has even sprouted and grown, and in this, Master Cho always talked about these weak seeds. And so you're putting the endophytes back in and strengthening your seeds. You're giving back this seed biology, because each seed has biology, has endophytes in it. But you're restoring these endophytes. So if they were bad before, now you're soaking it in here. And then you're putting cleanser, medicine, structure, fuel. So all these things that are going to benefit. But these endophytes, the lactobacillus, you're also putting in minerals. And I forget, we were talking about it, and the minerals also helped with the osmotic pressure and to drive these into your seeds and to and make the water more electro, fancy for it. But this endophytic relationship that you're putting in, where you're using it here with a seed soak formula, this may be one of the most profound things. And so So talking with him in these podcasts I got to listen to, that this lady was an expert. They basically took 3 plants. They took one as a maybe 4 plants. Okay, so one is a control or no, three. Okay, so one is a control that they did nothing to it, right? They just left it. They did the next one. They sterilized, or the next 2 they sterilized all the endophytes out of it. Don't ask me how they did it. I don't know. I didn't listen to the podcast, but somehow they removed all the endophytes from the next 2 plants. Then on the 3rd one, they reintroduced the endophytes back into it, and then they let all 3 plants grow. And the original one, they didn't sterilize the endophytes, grew great. The one that they put the endophytes back into grew great. The one that the endophytes were removed from didn't even grow. It was terrible. And so I haven't listened to the podcast. This is just hearsay, but this is what he was telling me. And this is where he was getting into like how important these endophytes are. Granted, I think they were growing in like a sterile environment and all these things. So there's other ways to get endophytes in there type thing. But it just shows the endophytic relationship. You know, we often think about our plant and think, oh, it needs this soil, it needs this amendment. But what about the biology in the plant, the actual endophytes in the plant? And that is where he was saying, like, you know, if you can take a plant juice from this plant with this characteristics, it must have those endophytes. And then you introduce that plant juice to a different plant. Now you're moving endophytes across that can cause growth characteristics in plants that you wouldn't expect. And he was saying that the endophytes themselves produce like auxins and gibberellins and other growth hormones. I'm not sure there are other growth hormones. I know those are the 2 main ones. But that the growth hormones are actually in the endophytic relationship and in there. So this is why, you know, again, I always go back and I'm just amazed how wild and crazy Korean natural farming is. Yeah, I mean, it's just every level. It's like, oh, the plant juice has these nutrients, has these things, but it also has these endophytes. And the more you slice and dice and find this, you know, reverse engineer the technology to find out, like, why did we do this, right? Why did we add salt to this? Why did we add this? You know, like, why are the formulas this way, that way? It just turns out, man, every time they were like almost perfect in terms of how potent and how scientifically relevant and how these check out to be just like maximizing growth. And if we just farm this way, we're in balance with nature, we're not upsetting anything, and we're getting like cutting edge level of you know, the best stuff. Like you couldn't get any other enzymes and endophytes. Like you're going to get endophytes, some other, and put, you know, it's like you ferment that plant, you get those endophytes, it's cost you next to nothing. You don't need a fancy lab. Then you spray it on your other plant or you seed soak it. And then I was talking to Cab up in North Kohala when I was up there for the HFU convention. I was telling him about this, and he's like, oh, that totally makes sense. Because in the morning when the stomata are open, if you spray during that time, the endophytes are able to get through the leaf tissue into your plant. So, because I was asking, how do endophytes get in the plant? Some are absorbed through the roots. The roots will actually like slough off and absorb microbes and then suck these microbes up through the soil and get endophytic relationship through the soil. But the plants will open their stomata. They'll open these pores in the morning to absorb the morning dew, to absorb all these things. And that, you know, if you're spraying then, or you've sprayed the night before, and all those you know, plant juices are on there, all that food's there, it's all there, it's biologically active. It will then, with the morning dew, it'll actually get absorbed up into the you know, right into your plant and go right where you need it. So yeah, so yeah, I think John Kemp was one of the people talking about this. And which podcast is it exactly? I don't know. I'm gonna listen. He sent me 3 different podcasts. That's why he was just like, here, these are the good ones, whatever, these will blow your mind. I haven't listened to them to see which one specifically was talking about the endophytes. I just need a bit more time to do this. You know, this week I gotta just, like, you know, I've been listening to music lately, which prior to that I was always listening to podcasts and not music. But then I just needed a little break of like music, just like some mind numbing, you know, 90s rock type stuff that, you know, I grew up with. you know, and that was really soothing for me. But sometimes I'm always cramming my brain with knowledge, and it's just like so much, and it's good. I like get to digest it and all this, and then share back with you. But I haven't gotten to those podcasts yet. So I will listen to them this week probably, and then share next week which ones they were, and I'll probably have more to say about it because I'm sure it's going to create even more ideas. But conversing with somebody that knows this and then like, can advance natural farming, this like the endophytic relationship here, like that's the like, lots of people will talk about a certain plant that only has a small yield. Well, even if you have a small yield of it, now you're getting those endophytes. You spray it on your other plants. Now you're getting those plants to have those endophytes. And this is how you're getting this synergistic thing. This is why it's always worth making a fermented plant juice from the plant you're making to spray back, especially the healthier ones, the ones with the characteristics you want. So this goes beyond like genome of like the seed and the phenomes and all these different seed things, actually into the plant juices that can transfer this biology. So when we're so into seed breeding and making these genetics and these things and this resistance and that with seeds, why not just transfer endophytes, right? Like, and I think this is like a next level of like genes, like seed breeding and breeding. Like it takes forever to breed a seed into something, and then you got to back cross it and get an F1 and stabilize it and get F2, and stabilize it, right? It takes forever. What if I can just ferment this plant that has that characteristic, spray it on this other plant, and now I've biologically transferred these characteristics? And what if I can change the characteristic in the early stage of growth and then change the characteristic in the later stage of growth based on the endophytes that I'm transferring via plant juice? I mean, I think this, here, you say this whole time, you're getting a little bit of overtime here of like, I think this is the next level. This is just like, and the next level, it's like one of those corporate terms. We're going to take it to the next level. It's like, yeah, right. Like, how about we just grind it down to zero and just stay at the base, right? It's the most stable. But, this is the foundation of it all. And getting into this foundation, finding out these ways of like characteristic gene transfer, resistance, acceleration, deceleration, fruit, all these things. Like, wow, what if it's endophytic? And we're onto a completely new paradigm of plant breeding, of characteristics, of deliciousness, of everything. And so, so I just wanted to give you, like that's the kind of thing, like you come here, you learn, converse. It's like, look at this. It just makes things better, bigger, everything. And so real big shout out to Steve. Thanks for that. Turning me on. I gotta get more into the podcast again. Open my brain, be like more can fit in there. I don't know. It's just synapses and neural connections. Electricity, man. It's just a good current. Good vibes, all that, right? So yeah, seeds containing bacteria, they inoculate soil with the seeds with the right culture. I think all those things combined, this is like going to be just like great things. And feeding the rhizophagy cycle this entire time with KNF, soil soaks at root tips, KNF feeds rhizophagy. Yeah. So getting into the rhizophagy, these root relationship microorganisms, endophytes in your plant, the rhizophagy plugging in, all these things, like all this stuff. Yeah, and farmer girl chooses to make foods from plants that exist. Yeah, so all this is in KNF, right? Master Cho says, oh, make a plant juice from bamboo because it grows fast. Then you spray it on everything, it starts growing fast. I thought it was like a vitamin, enzyme, hormone, but it turns out it might be endophytic. That's why it's growing faster, right? So Master Cho always recommends, get the plants with the characteristics you want, ferment them, spray them, get it, all those things. So yeah. And then awesome conversation about the food recipe after supersaturation. The sugar to plant ratio will be at 1 to 1 or more. No, supersaturation just means that every water molecule is bound to a sugar molecule. So you can look up supersaturation. in here is just like supersaturation. In physical chemistry, supersaturation occurs when a concentration of the solute exceeds the concentration specified by value of solubility at equilibrium. Most commonly, the term is applied to a solution of a solid in a liquid, but it also can be applied to liquids and gases dissolved in a liquid. So it's actually a scientific thing, and it just means that every solid sugar, like the water is bound to the sugar, and there's not, it's bound, like there's no. So I don't know what the actual ratio is, but there's certain characteristics you can look for, and if you're curious about supersaturation, you can click on the channel down below. That'll take you to my channel, which, hang on, I'll just pull this up real quick here. So it'll take you, why is it going to my channel? I don't know why it always brings up that video for me. But on my channel right here, and you can look up this how to supersaturate video right here. You can click on that, and it shows you how to supersaturate. So I got some plant juices there. I'm supersaturating them. Basic idea is that, so I'm gonna mute this, and I'm adding sugar in. Let's see here. And the basic idea is that I put the camera right there so I could see. I don't know what I'm yabbering about. But, oh, here. You see the sugar floating on the top, where it's floating. That means it can't go in any further. So if you watch this video, you'll see that it's like the sugar is actually making a mountain, and it takes a long time to go in, then it sinks. That means I've supersaturated the liquid. So if you're looking for that, you want to know what it is. What is supersaturation? That's what it is. It doesn't necessarily mean one-to-one with sugar. There's a, each plant's going to have its own amount of sugar that's needed. And if you watch that, you will know how to do it after that. And lab still has a lot of curds at the bottom after 4 days. Should I pull it? I'd let your lab go like 7 to 10 days. If it still has curds at the bottom, it's not going to harm you, and it will maybe separate more, maybe less. But you could try. Do pour it out through a fine mesh like a t-shirt when you separate your curds and whey. Hey, thanks, Tyler. Thank you. Hope you and Hannah are doing well. Woot, woot, woot. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so, yeah, okay. Well, thank you. Thanks, Cecily. Thanks, everybody out there in the KNF universe, the KNF community, making the movement still and bringing us all into balance, right? And doing the right things for the earth, for the ocean. It's my primary concern is the ocean. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back next week. Keep it growing, keep it alive, keep it pure, keep the ocean nice. Let's see, I'm going to click over here, get this thing. Goodbye. Okay. Well, and then with that, I think I'll close the curtain slowly today. Yeah. Okay, cool.